Welcome, everybody, to Come Back to Love Radio. We are live on Dream Vision 7. Welcome to new listeners. Welcome to people that have been listening to this radio show every week. We are so happy, and I am so happy to have you here. This is the radio show where we explore the journeys of healing, connection, and transformation in love and relationship. I'm your host, Robin Vogel, love and intimacy coach, internal family systems therapist, and the creator of Heal Your Heart. Join me as I share stories, tools, and insights to help you rewrite your love story, whether it's about overcoming heartbreak, unraveling old patterns, or reigniting the spark in your current relationship. Together, we'll explore how love begins within and expands outward to create meaningful, fulfilling connections with others. You can tune in to Come Back to Love every Thursday at 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern on Dream Vision 7 radio network. Listen online, on your mobile device, in your car, on your radio. Simply ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 radio. In each episode, I welcome incredible guests who bring their unique perspective and expertise to help us dive into topics like self-compassion, healing childhood wounds, and creating the love we desire and deserve. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by a special guest who is also a dear friend, Nina Manolson.
Mm.
She is the
Mm.
founder of Body Peace and is a body peace coach dedicated to helping women end the war with food and body so that we can feel truly at home in our bodies. She has been working with women for more than 30 years, combining her expertise as a therapist, body trust guide, and psychology of eating teacher. Nina integrates compassionate coaching, body-centered practices, and deep inquiry into societal and personal narratives to help women build sustainable, nourishing, and respectful relationships with their bodies. She is also the co-host of a podcast, Her Story, that's capital Her, which celebrates the intersection of food, culture, and women's stories. Nina, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Robin, it is a delight always to be with you.
Thank you. We've done so many things over the
Mhm.
and I'll just share with our audience that we've known each other since grad school in the late,
Mhm.
that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, and I've got to witness all these years, all the amazing things that you have been doing with women and watching your work become just more and more profound and deep and
Mm.
it's weird. I have a like a mental or awareness of the energy of it being like really solid, like a solid
Mhm.
contribution to
Mhm.
women. That's
Yeah.
what I'm.
Yeah. I think over the years I've gotten clearer and clearer. I think my clients have really taught me what the model is of body peace. How do we actually get there? Because working with women for so many years, I really saw how we navigate from a place of body hate, from a place of body shame to a place of feeling at peace and at home in our own skin. And initially it felt like, oh, we're just doing the work. But then you talk to enough women and I was like, oh, I see how this is happening. I see the pattern. I actually see the map of how this goes. And that's what led me to creating the body peace map. And it's really, I think, what gives me that feeling, and you clearly also are reflecting it back, that sense of solidity in this work, which makes me so able to say to women when they feel so uncomfortable in their body and so much shame and so much self criticism, that it's really possible to change. It is truly possible to feel like you have a compassionate and caring and supportive and nourishing and peaceful relationship with your own body.
Just take that in, invite our audience to take that in with a deep breath. Yes, let's begin or continue just by saying that so many women, I mean, is it fair to say like 99.9 of
Yes.
women are in some kind of judgment of themselves, of their bodies,
Yeah.
of how they look, of how they feel
There
body.
was some study done. I'm not remembering all the details, but the statistic was that you know, 99% of women say at least nine, it's not, well, on average, they say 9 nasty things to themselves every day. And when I would say that to my clients or in classes that I would teach, they'd be like, well, that's pretty low, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And
Yeah.
people were like, I say it every time I look in the mirror, every time I get dressed, every time I go walk by a window and there's a reflection, every time I walk into a room and compare myself to other women, every time that I'm in an intimate situation with my partner, I'm like in this constant self consciousness and self criticism. And
Mhm.
that is painful. And it has become this sort of norm that women and men should feel bad about themselves. And if we feel bad, then we should start managing our body and start treating our body like it's a big project to be fixed. Ouch, ouch, and ouch. That doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel relaxing. It feels very stressful and it gets in the way of everything, including the love in our life.
For sure. You're reminding me, and you've maybe heard this story before, but you're reminding me that when I turned 13 on my 13th birthday, which was November 14th, 1978. Quick math there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's relevant because I turned 13, which of course is, a big, stepping into teenagehood, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a human on the planet, as a girl on the planet. And I literally had the conscious thought that it was time to start judging my body. It was
Mm.
like somebody, and I don't even know, like,
Mm.
obviously it's in our culture, but where did it come from that I kind of got this message that, okay, I'm having a birthday, I'm turning 13, and this is what I need to do now. Like,
Yeah.
check the box, start judging. And boy,
Yep.
I start judging. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That
And
is
this is
so screwed up.
it is. It is deeply, deeply disturbing and so much part of our culture. And the piece that I want to point out, there's a lot of reasons why at 13 you would be like, okay, now I'm starting to judge my body. But there's a specific age issue that happens twice in a woman's life where we are more susceptible to body shaming or to self shaming and to disordered eating. And that is going into fertility and out of fertility. So, this comes out of the research of Margot Main, and she talks about when women are moving into childbearing years. So, in puberty, there's a natural, let me say that again, a natural change in our body where we gain weight and our body changes rapidly, right? Another big rapid change. You are moving out of fertility, perimenopause, menopause, and it is natural. Let me underline that with a giant yellow highlighter. A natural change in our body where our body changes quite rapidly. Now, our culture goes, no, don't do that. No changing for you. In fact, if you're changing, you better feel bad about that change and stop it. And then comes the body shame. And then comes, well, maybe I should eat differently. And maybe I should go on a diet. And now we're into disordered eating.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's exactly what happened to me. Yeah. Body was
Mm-hmm.
changing. Pediatrician was pointing it out and judging.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that moment clear as day.
Yep.
Um, and then the decision to I had already gotten my period, early on, and then the
Mm-hmm.
decision was to start judging, and then of course that just was such a setup for an incredible amount of pain and agony inside that showed up as controlled eating for me. This is my story. Controlled eating
Yeah.
on the outside, and then hidden out of control eating, right? Like
Yeah.
very controlled on the outside, a lot of starvation, a lot of, dieting, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the reaction to that was just to want to eat
Right.
whatever I wanted and, did that.
Right. Well, and that is a classic pendulum, right?
Right.
restriction into binge eating or freedom eating, or like, oh my gosh, I'm no longer, nobody's watching me eating.
Right.
And so it goes flying from one to the other. Then I feel shame that I had this unbridled desire and ate whatever I wanted. And so now I've got to whoop, tamp it down, lock all the fridges and the cabinets, and now I'm back into restriction. And it's so painful. And, you know, when you talk about stepping into that world of self-shame, self-shaming behavior, it's not just self-shaming. We have a 72 billion with a B, $72 billion diet industry that goes, oh, you feel bad about your body? Great. We're right behind you, telling you the same thing and selling you products that will help you change your body that don't actually work long term, but that's okay. We're going to make you that promise anyway, take your money and make you feel bad about yourself that you then failed at a system that actually has no success. In fact, 98% of people who go on restrictive diets gain their weight back, if not more, in 2 to 5 years. So restrictive weight loss statistically doesn't actually work. It creates more disordered eating. It creates weight gain, in fact.
Mm. Yeah, those statistics are pretty high, aren't they?
Poof.
I know. What an industry, huh?
Yeah, that the diet industry, anti-aging industry, and the beauty industry.
Right.
It's really something.
All three. Yeah.
All three. It's the trifecta that comes at women and goes, you as you are, the way you look, the body that you were born into. Nope, that's not okay. Let's help you fix it. As though it was broken, which it's not, by the way.
Right. Right. It's making me think of like this is so tied to our culture.
Mm-hmm.
And what about other cultures? You know?
Well, some are much worse.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Hard to imagine.
It is frightening. Argentina has one of the highest rates of plastic surgery on women. Brazil also high rates of plastic surgery on women, and some better, but not a lot. This idea of what women should look like and what is attractive in our society has been so spread across the globe, this idealized sense of beauty, right? And what constitutes beauty fits in the size of a postage stamp. You know, it's like so limited. It's what we see in, you know, Hollywood on the red carpet, and that's it. End of story.
Right. Right. And what's the percentage? You probably know, like what percentage of women actually fit into that stamp in our country? It must be.
Right. We don't. And it really speaks to, yeah, it's ridiculous. And it speaks to one of the first things that we need to do to reclaim our relationship with our body is to say, you know, these are my genetics. Somebody said recently to me, so for those of you who are not watching the video, I have long silver hair. And somebody said, oh my gosh, your hair is so great. What do you do? And I said, genetics. And she said, isn't that the truth though, right? So, you know, so much of who we are is just genetics. I was like, look at my mother. It's her hair. Probably look at her mother. It's probably her hair. But it's easy for me to go, yeah, this is my genetics. This is how it rolls. I don't do much. But it took me years to look at my body and do the same thing. Yep, these are my genetics. I will never be tall or super thin or blonde. Like those are not my genetics. I don't come from that part of the world where that's how they come.
Right. Right.
So part of befriending the body is going, so wait, what are my genetics? What does my family look like? What's the makeup of my kind of people? And making space for that. Because what our culture has done is gone, no, your kind of people and your kind of people and your kind of people are not acceptable. We only take the ones that are over 5'9" and under 115 pounds and with chiseled cheekbones. Those are the people we accept. Right. It's like, wait a second. If we're talking as a culture about inclusion, let's include ourselves and our body as being deserving of care and respect.
Ooh, yes, that is so powerful. That is so powerful. And I'm really hoping that our listeners are doing, which was exactly what I was doing as I was listening to you, just kind of looking at like, yeah, what are my genetics, you know? Like for me, like the Russian, German, Polish, more sort of zaftig, short,
Mm-hmm.
curvy, voluptuous women, like that's my line. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, dark curly hair and not a lot of gray yet at almost 60. Like that's me, you know.
Right,
Um yeah, and that's what my grandmother looked like and my other, grandmother on the other side looked like and, to varying degrees, but generally,
right.
that's how the women looked over the years. Yeah.
Right. And there one of the sort of gentle, easy ways to come into that kind of self-compassion of this is my body is to actually look at the body story, the body legacy, the body history of our family, and look at these women and go, wow, they are incredible. And often I work with a lot of women who are over 45 and who are sort of struggling with aging and changing bodies. And I love this idea of befriending our aging body. And one of the ways that I think I've gotten off easy in this journey is watching my mom. My mom is 93. She's like a force of nature, but her aging is exquisite. She is, I don't know if you've ever heard of these apple dolls. They take apples, it's sort of an old artsy, folksy craft, and they take apples and they dry them and dry them and dry them until they look like a little shriveled, wrinkled face, and they put eyes and a nose and they add a little body, and it's an apple doll. My mom looks like an apple doll. And I look at her gazillion lines on her face and a body that's been through so many things, so many almost deaths and scars and issues. And I think, wow, isn't she amazing?
Hmm.
And if we can look at our history, even if they're alive or they're not, right? To look at them and go, wow, what amazing women, what an amazing family, what a legacy that I was left with. It helps us come into a place of looking at ourselves with a sense of dignity and respect of being on this planet and coming from this type of history, this part of the world. Because our beauty industry would like us all to look a certain way, and we don't.
Right. Wow. Whew. Okay, this is the perfect place to pause and get back to what is body peace and how do we get there. We'll be right back with Nina Manolson. And we're back with Come Back to Love Radio. I'm Robin Vogel, your host, and we're here today with Nina Manolson, body peace coach. This is for me so actually just literally having this conversation is offering more self-compassion. Just being able to look
Mm.
at as I was reflecting on my own history and what the bodies were like, it was like I had these images of my grandparents and photographs of great grandparents and their parents. And it's like, oh yeah, there was a look and it's evolved for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
way more beautiful than all of them. But my grandmother was very beautiful. Um,
Mm.
teasing. But but yeah, it just helps me to see and to really honor and respect, those
Yeah.
women, first of all, were really freaking powerful women. They survived a lot.
Yes.
They came to the US, like they survived so much in their lives. They had to be sturdy and, solid to get through what they were, challenged with in their lifetime.
Yeah.
And here I am today, a sort of result of all of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It reminds me of a story. There's a young woman in our family, and she sort of early in her life was like, I have this weird double chin. I hate my double chin. I don't like. I was like, let me show you some pictures of our family. Right. I was like, see that cousin? See that aunt? See that grandmother? She was like, oh my God, everybody has it. And I was like, welcome to our family. We come, some of us, not everybody, depending on who, which side of the family, but some of us come with this double chin thing. And she was like, oh, okay. It's not a personal flaw.
Right. Right.
It comes with who you are. It's
Right.
very powerful to claim, to own, this is my body. And
Yeah.
this is the body I choose to be with. This is the body that I choose to care for. Because what we're talking about, and fundamentally what is body peace, is an allyship with ourselves. Right? It's partnering with our body instead of being in an antagonistic relationship, you and your chin and your belly and those thighs, right? That's a finger pointing relationship. It doesn't go very far because we just feel bad about ourselves. But if
Right.
we can be like, oh yeah, that's my body. This is how I come in the world. And how do I support this body that I'm in?
Mm. So what would be the net, like I'm hearing this as, there's a lot of entry points to your work, and I'm hearing this as one entry point of just
Mm-hmm.
really like taking stock, looking at the data points, like not having the
Yeah.
emotional content in there, actually, just this is the data. Uh,
Yep.
this is where I come from. And then yes, we want to invite self-compassion. Uh, but how does that, what are the steps that would get somebody to actually be able to offer themselves self-compassion after
Yeah.
so many years of judging?
Yeah. So one of the things you said is like, what are the other entry points?
Right.
And one of the things we want to look at in terms of how do we come in, because people come in with, sit in session with me with different things going on. Sometimes it's, I hate my body. Sometimes it's, I just can't stop the critical mind. Like I know I don't deserve it, but the criticism internally is nonstop and it feels oppressive. Some people, it shows up as I don't know how to take care of myself well. And so I'm eating because I feel like I should do something about my body. And so then I'm in the restrictive binging cycle, right? So, sort of depending on how it's showing up, how the argument, how the rupture in your relationship is showing up in your body because that's what it is, right? And, Robin, I know you come from such a relational model. If we think about it from a relational model of here's a relationship, the most important relationship of our life is my opinion, right? Because the relationship with our body impacts every other relationship. It impacts how we are when we're intimate with somebody. It impacts
Yes.
how we relate to friends when we're out with girlfriends and everybody's ordering and you're thinking, oh gosh, should I order the salad because I don't want to order the grilled cheese because I don't want to look like I'm eating too much, right? How we feel in our body impacts everything. And so if we can come back to that relationship and go, wow, where is the rupture showing up? And that becomes our entry point. And if it is, in fact, that place of self criticism, of self hate, of self shame, then we do need to have self compassion be one of the first stopping points. And part of it in building self compassion with our body is really taking stock of what am I saying? Like, what am I saying? When I ask women to write down, what are you saying to your body all day?
Mm.
It's alarming. There was a woman who was working with me, and we were talking about the evolution of her relationship with her body. And she said, oh my gosh, I'm in an abusive relationship with my own body. She's like, I would never stand for that kind of treatment from anybody else. And yet, for 30 years, I'm totally fine with being mean and nasty and calling myself names all day long.
Wow. That
So
is,
it's so painful.
yeah, painful and a huge aha moment.
It is. And so part of it is really being able to hear, oh, there it is again. Oh, there it is again. Oh, now I'm saying that I'm this, and now I'm saying that I'm that. Is shine a light right? And what we're doing is really shining a light on the neural pathways that are so
Yes.
deep, they're so like worn into our brain.
Yes.
And the more we can say, oh, really? Then we can start to have an option of creating a new neural pathway, one that is kind, one that is caring, one that at least goes, wow, that was mean. Ouch, that hurt. Because
Mhm.
that's the beginning.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It reminds me of I mean, you brought in my favorite topic of neuroplasticity in the brain and, those grooves that are so deep and therefore so unconscious. Um,
Mm-hmm.
one of the invitations that invite participants, clients, and listeners to the radio show is to take a designated amount of time or a portion of a day. Usually I suggest Saturday because most people aren't working, not everybody, and just like, okay, on Saturday morning from when I wake up until the time I have lunch, I'm going to turn the volume up on my awareness. Like you said, shine a light, a brighter light during that
Mm-hmm.
time, and just notice what the thoughts are that pop in and around food and body, right? So, maybe when you're getting into the shower, you go to brush your teeth and you're looking in the mirror, you're getting dressed, you're eating a meal, you're making coffee, maybe you're eating another meal, maybe you go out for a walk. Like all those things happen probably in the first, 3 to 4 hours of a day. Many different opportunities, quote unquote, to notice, well, many opportunities to judge and the
Yeah.
greater opportunity to really notice what those judgments are during that time, write them down, and then you've got like this well of information to start with.
Yes. Yeah.
So much
That
goodness.
awareness, right? So in Body Peace, right, I created a map how women move through relationships, and I actually have a free masterclass around that on my website. Um, and what happens is that sense of body awareness is a relationship with our body that we're not taught. The only relationships that we're really taught about in terms of us and our bodies is body hate, body shame. I just sort of wrap that into one, which is that self-critical voice. And also it's a neglect, right? I hate myself. Ugh, I don't want to deal with you. Or we're taught, oh, that feels bad. Great. Now you can go to body management. We're going to give you some diets and some strict rules, and now you manage yourself. And if you do it right, then you get the third possible relationship that our culture says is allowed for women and their bodies. You get to love your body. Now, I know the word love is a great thing, but when it comes to body love, I actually think it's aspirational and makes people feel like they're not doing it right because it's not sustainable on a daily basis, right? Just like any relationship, you don't wake up every morning and go, oh my gosh, even our pets, you're the best thing after they peed on the rug. Oh my gosh, you're the cutest. You're like, this is
Right.
so annoying. That's a real relationship. It's an authentic relationship. So just like that, body love feels like a little pie in the sky, a little aspirational. And so the idea is if we manage our body for just controlling enough, then we get to love our body, right? You see that a lot in before and after pictures that everybody puts online. This
Hmm.
is me before, I hated my body. This is me after, I love my body. But what we're really seeing in those before and after pictures is weight cycling. We're seeing a before, then we're seeing a moment where people felt like, oh, I'm in body love. But what we're not seeing is the after, when the body management is no longer sustainable. We can't keep the diet, we can't keep the restriction. And so now I don't love my body because I blew it. I failed, I fell off the wagon, and now poof, I'm back in body hate.
Mm, my
And
gosh.
that's the cycle. That's the relationship template that our society gives women in terms of being in their bodies. You can hate it, then you can try to fix it, then you can love it for a second, but that's not sustainable. So you're back to hating it, to fixing it. Oh, I get to love it for a second, and now I'm back to hating it. It goes around and around. And the body piece is a whole other relationship that we can actually have with our body. That's the cool part. we can actually create a different relationship. It's like when this client of mine said, I'm in an abusive relationship,
Mm.
right? It's like women in an abusive relationship. They're like, well, this is just the way it is. No, 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 no. That is not the way it is. And you deserve so much better.
Mm. Yes, 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 yes. Wow. I just want to let that last sentence land. Like, you deserve so much better. And we as women deserve so much better.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
I think we'll take a quick commercial break and
okay.
come back to like how.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the how. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Come Back to Love Radio with me and Nina Manolson, my guest this week. We were just saying in the last segment that you said, you deserve so much better. And
Mm-hmm.
talking about having an abusive relationship with your body and that you deserve so much better. We all deserve so much better. And let's talk about, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What is better?
Mm-hmm. I love that because we need to get clear on what is a good relationship with our body. So, if we think about relationships in general, right, some of the things that make a good relationship with another human being, with a pet, with a kid, with anybody, is a sense of care and listening. I'm
Mm,
interested. I care about you, right? Like the Gottman Institute talks about turning towards,
mm,
right? We want to turn towards our body, go, yep, you. I'm in this relationship with you. I want to hear what you have to say. So, a relationship, a good relationship with our body that is a relationship of body peace is one where we're listening, where we're responding to our needs, where we're slowing down enough to actually be in a sense of sacredness with our body, right? Oh, you need rest. Oh, you need food. Oh, you're full. Oh, you're hungry, right? There's something that when we do that deep listening, we're honoring our body and we're supporting her where she's at or him, right? So so body peace fundamentally is this place of I am in a positive, caring, nourishing, compassionate, supportive relationship with my own sacred container. This is where I live. This is the only place I get to live in this lifetime. I'm going to take care. I'm going to be in this allied, partnered relationship with self.
mm. Beautiful.
And there's pleasure in there, and there's joy in there, and there's fun in there, and there's pain, and there's grief, and there's loss. It's authentic. It's not like movie star perfect. It's authentic, it's real, it's sustainable.
Yeah. What's reverberating in me is that caring listening.
Mm-hmm.
How all of what we talked about before disconnects us from our body. Just like being abusive creates a disconnect, right?
Yeah.
That's, one of the impacts of having an abusive relationship is that it doesn't create connection, obviously. So we
Yeah.
have this abusive relationship with our bodies and it creates a separation. So speaking for myself, I forgot how to listen to my body, to the
Yeah.
cues, to what I desire, to what I don't desire,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm full, to when I'm hungry, to when I'm just feeling content. I mean, for me, it was like basically everything. Feelings, that's kind
Yeah.
of how I
Me
spent my
too. That's why
teens
I
and
do this.
20s.
Yep.
Yeah. So how do we, what's the first step to come to like
Mm-hmm.
listening? Like what do we do
Yeah. Yeah.
besides
So,
declaring that we're going to do it?
okay. So here's a very simple practice. And you were actually doing part of it when you just asked the question. You had your hands on your heart, right? Which is making contact with ourselves. Like, oh, yes, I have a body. Getting in our body, embodiment, right? Putting your hands on your heart and feeling the pressure, actually creating sensation for ourselves us creating the sensation, right? Not our clothes constricting, not someone else giving a hug, but actually using your own body to create a sensation that you feel, right? Because that feels like, yes, I can modulate that sensation because I'm creating it. So you can gently press on your heart. You can give it a little more pressure so you really feel it. And then when you really feel that sensation, just kind of almost like you could look inside and say to yourself, hello, body.
Mm.
Just starting there. And just notice, what does that evoke? What comes up when you just say, hello, body?
Mm. I can imagine that. I've, of course, done this exercise many times with you,
Mm-hmm.
in my own work in different ways,
Yeah.
saying hello, body. But even just right now, doing it again, it's like, first of all, I wanted to take a deep breath. I wanted to just kind of relax my body. And then feeling that sensation from the palms and the inside of the fingers, like on my skin or on my sweater, both, just kind of bringing awareness to that connection feels
Mm-hmm.
like so delightful. And I feel in this moment so grateful to say hello, body. Like I feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's a deeper invitation to include my body in this moment, which is something I talk
Yeah.
about a lot in my work. Also, like, how do we leave our bodies behind, and
Mm-hmm.
including our bodies in our lives and our lives and our decision making and everything that we choose from moment to moment. And I can also imagine pausing and saying hello, just putting this out there for our listeners that it might bring a lot of grief, it might bring
Yeah.
sadness, it might bring fear in that just this simple hello
Yep.
body connection.
Yes. And there's so many things in what you said, right? First, you were like, oh, I could feel the pressure. And then there was a desire for breath, right? Both of those, I've had a sense of embodiment. I could feel the pressure. I could feel that sense of, and then I'm in, right? Now I'm embodied. And then a feeling came up, one of gratitude. But for some of us, it's, oh, I'm in, I feel my body. And my body's like, where the heck have you been my whole life?
Right.
Right. The first conversation or first many conversations with our body is like, do you know what I've been through? Do you know what's happened to me? Do you know how hard it is to be in this body? Do you understand the level of pain or discomfort or trauma or whatever it is? And part of having this relationship is listening and starting the conversation over and over. And it's a practice. I always say body peace isn't a destination the way that our world would like, yay, you should be positive about your body and you should love your body as though it's like a landing that we have to stick like in like gymnasts do. But rather it's a practice. It's a practice the way people practice yoga or they practice meditation, right? This is a practice of being in a conversation with our body. This is a practice of honoring. This is a practice of making space for all that's been, all that continues to happen, all that is
Hmm.
within a relationship with one's body.
Right. Beautiful. Just like some people might wake up and kiss their partner or kiss their children or
Mm,
snuggle with their puppy, in the morning. Like, how about a self snuggle and a hello
mm-hmm.
body to greet,
Yes.
you know?
And one of the things, I love that term, like a self snuggle, right? So many people reach out to their pets. Oh, sweetie, it's so nice to see you, honey bunny, right? All those things is in that snuggle. There's a very specific technique that you can use, which is using a term of endearment. And you want to find one that fits for you, like, hey, honey, or hi, love, or whatever it is. And it may take a little while, but to find that term of endearment, we don't sit there and go to our kid or to our pet and call them by their name every single time or call them names, bad names. We have some way, some shorthand that says, I love you so much. And
Hmm.
we use that name with them.
Right.
And so if we can find that term of endearment for ourselves, it's potent.
Yeah, like sweetie or
Mm-hmm.
beloved, beautiful,
Sunshine.
sunshine, cutie.
Mm-hmm.
I love all those. We need a little brainstorm there. I like it. Awesome. Well, we're going to take one more commercial break and we'll be right back. We're back with Come Back to Love Radio on Dream Vision 7. Remember that you can tune in every Thursday, 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Thank you so much, Nina Manolson. This has been amazing. I would love the listeners to hear more about how to reach you, how they can connect with you, how they can get
Mm-hmm.
started on this body peace path, because this is so vital to, honestly, using my own words, to come back to love
Mm-hmm.
yourself. As I said, and as we know, it's an inside job. It starts inside with our relationship with ourselves, and this piece around including and loving our bodies is like,
Mm-hmm.
we can't love ourselves without loving our bodies, period. Like, period, end of that sentence. We just
Yeah.
can't. So your work is so integral actually to the work that I do, which, yes, is focused on relationships and intimacy and love and sexuality. And honestly, like that piece of the body it's huge. It's really important.
Mm. So there's one place I really recommend. Well, there's two places I recommend people start. One is I have a free practicing body peace journal. And in it are 20 questions that I would ask you if you were sitting in a session with me. 20 questions to explore your relationship with your body. And in it are five, I write body peace poems. I write about women's relationship with their body. And so there are five poems to sort of spark your conversation with yourself around your relationship with your body.
Mm.
The other free way to walk into this work is there's a body peace masterclass. And Robin, you and I talked about the different kinds of relationships that women can have with their body. And in the Body Peace Masterclass, I go into the three relationships that we don't talk about in our culture that are much more supportive and caring for us than just the body peace and the body hate. Not the body peace, just the body hate, the body shame, and the body management. We want to get into body peace and other body relationships that actually support us and make us feel like we can exhale and feel comfortable in our own skin.
Absolutely. 100%. Okay, so that's great ways for people to connect with you. I love that you have a journal. I've actually
Mm-hmm.
used it myself and it's beautiful. And I love that it would be questions that you would ask if we were sitting down, you were sitting down with somebody so that they can have that like sense of connecting with you through those self-inquiry questions, which are so valuable and
Mm-hmm.
great. As we said earlier, like there's many entry points, and that's one of the entry points to connecting with you. So for those
Yeah.
of you listening and you're on the Dream Vision 7 website, you will see the links to connect with Nina there. And I really wholeheartedly recommend that you bring
Mm.
yourself into her world of body peace. So, so important. Oh my gosh. Nina, thank you so
Thank
much. This has
you.
been so much fun and so nurturing and nourishing for me and my body to be with
Mm.
you. Really. So
Thank you, Robin. It's always such a treat to be with you.
thanks. We're wishing everybody a beautiful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing, knowing that the listeners are there next week. Tune back in to Dream Vision 7 Radio. This is Come Back to Love. Bye, everybody.